Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fabulous Friday TV show. Women from all over the world are coming together today to celebrate fabulous and TGIF. Thank God it's Friday, but also we can say, thank God I'm fabulous. So I'm Sherry Clergis with At 45 Magazine in Vancouver, BC.
And I am Anne Marrott, and I'm in a beautiful eco estate today, and no return date. And I am the founder of Women Connect, a membership platform for elite membership platform for women to upskill themselves. And I'm also the co-founder of Fabulous University. I'm happy
So we are so excited today to be together, and we're celebrating the last show of the first season of Fabulous Friday TV. So I'd love to see where you are today, Anne. It looks fabulous.
Yes. Well, it is fabulous. It's Fabulous Friday. I'm in a fabulous plate. I'm waiting for some animal to come walking behind me because that's actually what happens here in this place. You have the animal, the grass-eating animals like the giraffe, the zebra, the impala buck, the wildebeest.
Wow.
Yeah, you have the guinea fowl and the wild pigs, but everything. Nothing that eats humans. So that's as long as that's how it is, I feel safe here.
Well, the last time you showed us, we seen zebras walking through. So I'm hoping to see some wildlife coming through today, Anne.
Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's an amazing thing, and that's what's been so exciting about this show over the first season was that women coming together from around the world. First of all, we've seen that there's definitely different time zones. We're on the west coast of Canada, so we're getting up in the morning, we're looking for coffee, but we had other people coming from South Africa where it was their supper time and they were bringing wine to the table. And then we have had some guests coming in from Australia where it's the middle of the night, like 2 o'clock in the morning. So that's one thing that I've seen is there's a real appreciation for the different time zones that we're in. But also the show has been amazing for many reasons. First of all, we've been learning lots of things, and I can't even begin to think of all the new ideas and thoughts that women who have been speaking on our show are bringing to us.
I know our speakers have been absolutely amazing. They really have taught us so much. And of course, you could always go back, you could go onto the YouTube channel and search Fabulous Friday and get all the videos that we've done, the shows that we've done. And yes, it's the ending of the first season, but we will be back, as Arnold Schwarzenegger says, right? We'll be back.
Absolutely. And we're going to, you can find the videos on at45.com, but also the YouTube channel is at 45. And we have a number of playlists, but one of the playlists is Fabulous Friday TV show. So make sure and subscribe to that and follow the first season of the show. And we'll be showing some of the most popular shows in the magazine as we go through the summer. So we're so excited to be together today because we have a repeat guest speaker, the lovely Janice Hinckrow. Oh, sorry, I've got a frog in my throat today. And we had such fun the first time she was with our show. So Janice Incro is the creator of AHA Communications. It's better known as AHA Solutions because she has a great solution for you. She has over 40 years in the field of human wellness and motivation. She's not only a seasoned psychotherapist, but she's a community and corporate speaker, a clinical supervisor for therapists, a counseling psychology educator, and a critical incident responder. She's a writer. She's done so much, so many things. And she is a beautiful painter, and you will see behind her some of her paintings. So as a new thought leader, she loves what she studies and learns, and she's been a catalyst for change for many people. So welcome, Janice.
Oh, thanks, Sherry. Thank you for asking me to be on the show again. I just love being here and I love working with you people. And I think even though I've done a lot and gone to school a lot, the most important thing is I'm a mother. And I'm going to talk to you from that angle today because it's really important to honor our role as a parent and as a mother, getting along, raising our children to be wonderful human beings. And my sons remind me of that all the time because now they're my buddies and it's wonderful. So I want to talk about that, but I also want to invite you. You're okay to ask me a question or talk to me too as I'm talking, because I can talk forever.
Okay, so we'll do that. We'll make it more, we'll give people space in between to ask questions.
Sure.
But I think one of the things that started this whole conversation was we were talking about how parenthood doesn't come with a guide, and don't we all wish that it did? And the question came up, like, how do you make that transition to be a friend with your child or your children? And it can happen organically, I think, but also it has to happen with some intention, because you really have to make a shift in how you view that person. So I'm really interested to hear what you have to say today.
Yeah, well, I think if we start off wanting our children, it makes a big difference, right? Situations happen and we don't always have our children at the right time, which is the right time for us, but it evolves and it changes a long time. So we have to get used to being parents, and it takes I'd say about 5 years before parents really develop a philosophy with their children. So, of course, I really believe in effective parenting groups to learn how to encourage and communicate. And I'll tell you a little bit about that afterwards. A lot of times when we fall in love, we don't say to the person we're going to marry, hey, how do you want to raise the children? Yet we're doing one of the most important things, is raising another human being. And so we learn, we have our babies, we nurse them, we feed them, we care about them, we struggle with them, we have to get used to being a parent. And then they move through the preschool years and we think we have a handle on it. And then they're under 12 and we've got a routine, and maybe we've got a little bit of a philosophy. And maybe, yes, we disagree with our husbands sometimes, but we're spending time talking about that. And then your children move into the teen years. And the teen years are the most wonderful years, actually. They're the years of resistance, right? So we're learning from our children, because for those people who've never had children, children have a wonderful way of pressing your button, the perfect button that is going to drive you crazy, right? It's either going to make you angry or you're going to doubt yourself, because we want to be really good parents, but we really do have to practice encouragement and communication. And a lot of the times when we practice that communication, we really don't have an understanding of how our child is viewing the world. So we raise our children on the basis of really how we're feeling at any given moment. And then we are modeling for our children our view of life, but that doesn't mean it's their view of life. So if you ever want to work with anyone well, whether it's your children from the time they're 3 and they're speaking well, to even adults you're working with, you have to find out how they see the world and what is their perception of any event. And that's what I would start out with, because then you can work alongside them and you can listen to them, how they see the story, how they are viewing the situation, and then you can work on problem solving. So if you're lucky enough to have trained your children how to think and given them lots of opportunities to make decisions, you've given them choices, but they need to practice making decisions. Because if we don't practice making decisions, then we don't have a lot of experience feeling capable and going through the experience of feeling successful or having to make a new decision to be successful. So then our children move into the teen years. And the teen years are so wonderful because resistance is part of life, right? Our parents teach us to be cooperative and resistant. And then we get rid of our parents and we're left with this resistance. So welcome to the teen years. That's the years they're figuring out what they don't want to do, finishing school, and practicing taking responsibility. So they might have a teddy bear in one hand, and it used to be a ghetto blaster when I first did this talk. And now it's no ghetto blaster, it's a cell phone, right? So that's what they have. But we're always communicating with our children. So if it starts off good and we seem to have a cooperative atmosphere in the family, kudos to you. You're doing a pretty good job. But there's always one child, that you say, do you want apples or bananas? And they go, I want oranges. We don't have them. And then you have to deal with that, right? So you either can go into the fantasy world and say, I want oranges too. What are we going to do about it? And you can learn to handle that resistance from a young age. Now, many of us parents didn't learn that. And so that's why we get to have teens and work with the resistance again, because the teens are going to put in front of you every single value you thought you were teaching them. And some of them are going to be very contraire. They go, yeah, you told us to put on your coat, but you don't. Yeah, you told us to do that, but you don't. And so, well, this is some feedback, isn't it? And we know that we improve when we get feedback. So that's why it's wonderful to have a family meeting and to have your children participate in the family meeting so that they not only participate, but we can begin to have a venue for our children to come to. Now they move into their 20s. And what do you do in your 20s? Do you have everything together when you're finished your teenage years? You actually haven't finished your teenage years maybe till about 25 or 26. So if you've had a job, great. But as I said in the article that I wrote, if you're living at home, you need to be in school or working. And you need to find some way. We need to work with our children to find some way to say, you have a wonderful things to contribute to the world. And so what are you going to do? You're either going to go to school to learn while you're here, or you're going to work. And then you're going to figure out how you can slowly pay some rent. And when they begin to pay too much rent, they go, I could be living on my own, I'm paying rent here. And you go, yes, you are. But you're not paying all the rent. And there's a big difference between paying all the rent and a little bit of the rent. So how do we get along with our adult children? Well, we've groomed them. We've either groomed them to cooperate and to love us more, or we've groomed them to resist. And if we've groomed them accidentally to resist, because we didn't even know we were doing that, then what we can do is learn to handle the resistance, right? Now, men grow into their manhood by pushing their mothers away, believe it or not. They need to do that. And I have two young men who I was very close to and loved so dearly. but they really do have to push me back so that they can move forward, handle things on their own, and then meet a woman that they fall in love with, which they did. Okay. And then they still make all the rules. So I just follow their rules.
Sorry, Janice, I just want to interrupt because somebody put a comment in the chat, and I mean, it's so applicable to what you're saying.
Oh, I should see it. Tell me what it is.
So it says, so true. I've learned so much from my children and how they see the world. Many aha moments even made me relook at some of my perceptions and introduce change in myself. And I think that's what, is coming through clearly in what you say, that we are, we're hoping to achieve all these things with our children, but as they push back, it makes us, and as they go out and do their true, self, it makes us look at our values and what we do. So I just wanted to share that with you as you were moving forward.
And thank you for noticing that, chat. I'm so busy wondering where I'm looking that I don't always see the chat, right? It's so true. I mean, I've grown and changed simply because my boys are bright. They point out everything. And I remember my friend Lauren, she used to wear this blue coat. And when her kids were teenagers, they'd say, oh, I hate that coat. You don't look good in that coat. And she would say, you know what? I love this blue coat. And I'm going to wear it everywhere because I just love it. I'm even going to wear it to your wedding. She knew how to handle everything. So I'm saying this because humor is very important. We need to be able to laugh with our children, and we need to be able to do activities with them as they're growing up. So when we get together as adults, like when we get together at my house, well, they haven't been here for a while because of the pandemic, but we have a big dinner and then we play charades. Because everybody's involved in charades and everybody laughs and everybody jokes. And when my boys are together, of course, when men are together, they want to talk together all the time. So you can imagine, I'm going, hey, what about me? Hey, what about me? So charades helps everybody participate. And games are a wonderful way to get people extremely involved. So as we learn about how our children see the world, we begin to have a better understanding of them. And then to understand, do we need to ask the questions? Do we ever need to tell them what to do? I don't think so. They say never tell a teen what to do, but you can tell the teen what you're going to do when they do what they do. So the same is true of adults, because when they get their girlfriend or when they get their wife, sometimes they're so busy with their life that your plans go all out of there, right? You might want to have Thanksgiving dinner all the time. Well, it's not going to happen. You have to include them. And they have to include you. And then one day they start taking over the dinner because you're getting a little bit older. Or you participate and bring dishes together. These are the things that happen. But even though boys, I wanted to add this too, even though boys need to push their loving mother back so they can take over in their own life, they do return. A lot of clients come in and they say, oh, my boys are in their 20s and they're just never home. They're never contacting me, whatever. I said, don't worry, they'll come back. In their 30s, they come back. They do, because they're starting to settle a little bit more. They're starting to ask more questions about life. And believe it or not, you have to give yourself credit of having taught them a lot of things about your value systems, because they do come back and talk to you. A lot of my friends said, oh, your kids will never talk to you about sex. They'll never come home and ask you questions. No, my firstborn did. He came, sat down, and he asked me questions. And then I was faced with telling him, mean, this was a big thing a little while ago. It's like, do I tell him it's okay to have sex or not to have sex? I had to check my own value system. So as long as there's no insistence on you do it my way, then, Gina, I'm going to get to you. Then you're going to be able to talk about a few things with them. So it's true. Gina talks about natural consequences and logical consequences. She must be an Adlerian like me. So natural consequences are natural things that happen. If you don't eat, you don't have to develop an eating disorder in your children. When they're hungry, they will eat. We don't have to force food on them, right? Logical consequences are when they realize, there's social rules that in order to live in this world and have freedom, we need limitations. So sometimes we need to ask them what that is, as young as 9 years old. My children were saying, well, if you were the parent, what would you do if someone drove their bike recklessly and didn't wear a helmet? And my son said, I'd take his bike away for the rest of his life. So you see, they're much more strict than we are, but at least they're thinking. So how do you handle your holidays? How do you welcome your adult children into your own home? And then how are you invited in their own home? In the article, I said, and make sure you don't, I heard this story of a woman, a mother running up and getting inside her son's apartment and having a whole can of paint. And she thought he needed to repaint his bathroom. And I've never forgotten that. So she jumped in, repainted his bathroom. Of course, she had no business there. Talk about violating someone's personal space. So how do you share the time that you spend with your children, with your adult children? Some people want to see their families a lot. Now, girls usually hang around their mothers for a little bit longer, right? But even when I've spoken with parents who have girls or women, young women, I thought, it's got to be way easier with girls. You just hang out with the girls and you cook and you go out for dinner and you get your nails done and that. And some of my friends say, are you kidding? I talked to my daughter the other day and she said, what do you want, Mom? I said, really? Did you really say that? She said, yeah. I said, oh, well, then you can say to her, I just wanted to tell you that I love you and I just wanted to connect. And right away, she said, when she phoned back, she said, my daughter just melts a little. And she says, oh, okay, Mom. It's just I had to get the kids off to school. So sometimes our adult children, of course, they have frustrations, of course. And we don't know exactly what's happening when we send the text or we send a message or we phone them, right? Sometimes I've had to say to one of my children, because they've answered quite abruptly to me, and I've been very surprised. I've said, oh, is this a good time? They go, yeah, it's okay. And I go, it's okay. Just let me get my coffee and then I'll phone you back. Because sometimes first thing in the morning, even though I'm very excited and it's 8:00 and we're all here, doesn't mean that your adult children are going to be very excited, for you to call. So do we have a question or do we have a comment? How is this relating to you with your adult children?
Well, I'm going to say, I'm going to step in first. Is
Yes.
What you were saying about, the natural consequences. So I'm just going to share this. Hopefully my son won't mind. But one of my children is very anti-vaccination. And we got together as a family the other night and everyone got after him about this. But in his mind, you could tell he's taken a position on it. And so at some point in time, I realized in that conversation that even though we can say things that the values that we aspire to
Mhm.
seem natural and the right way, but everyone is entitled to their own opinion and to go on with their life and make those decisions. And it was just so hard to accept that.
Mhm. Well, it's very hard. And in terms of the vaccination, of course, because it was a pandemic and it seems extremely important. But there are people holding on tightly to those views. And sometimes we might have a child who's very good at resistance. There might be a theme of resistance. And so they hold on something maybe too tightly in the beginning. And sometimes time changes things. So it doesn't mean that he won't ever get vaccinated. But right now he's holding on to that position. And so I think it's important for us to say, yes, I know you're very strong in this and you're holding on to this. And I think that's the way it is right now. But this is what I'm doing for me. And to not push, because the more we push, really, we do get that pushback. And many adults grow up, they were resisting their parents, and now they're resisting the rest of the world. Hi.
Could it be that a logical consequence is you're entitled to not have a vaccine, but you're not entitled to be in my space and put me at risk because I have health issues. So until you get vaccinated, you're not welcome at the dinner table or in my space because I need to protect myself.
So that is a limit, right? And that is respect for you. I would just reword it a little bit softer so that it doesn't seem like resistance, because it's so true what you're saying. So I really need to take care of my health, and I'm really worried around people who don't get vaccinated. And so right now, why don't we just take a little rest from each other until we find out more information about what's safe? Because I really am vulnerable as a senior, and this is the way that I want to live.
I have that in my life of two very close people I'm very close with. And they're always like, well, we could go visit outside. And I'm like, no, we can't. Not until you're vaccinated. And I really want to see you. I will continue talking to you on the phone, but we cannot meet in person because I can't put myself in that position because I have a lot of autoimmune issues. And
yes.
We talk daily. And they are now really considering getting vaccinated because I haven't seen them in almost 2 years.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. And I think what you just said is you're setting a good example of respecting yourself, setting a limit, and then given some time. Sometimes people change their mind and make new decisions. I really do believe that I am a person who does this as well as a therapist. We just need to be very clear on our boundaries. And when we are clear on our boundaries, then other people can hear them, and it gives them information so that if they decide to make a new decision, they know where we're coming from. And I think that's very clear. And so, of course, I actually have a couple of friends I'm not seeing because they don't believe in the vaccine. And I said, that's okay, just like you. I'll talk to you on the phone. And one of them misses me a little bit. So, but we can't make them take the vaccine. And so look at the experience we've been through in the whole pandemic. You know, lots of people are resisting all kinds of things. Sometimes people are just resisting because they resist authority. And they're going to keep doing that in their whole life.
Yeah.
Whether it helps them or not, we don't know. So in what other ways do people have difficulty with their adult children? Let's think about this. The article I mentioned, they may or may not do what you did in your life. Of course, my parents were pretty good, but I still wanted to be an effective parent, an encouraging parent, building self-esteem, doing all that kind of thing. So I really, did I overdo it? I don't know. I had a million parenting groups. Maybe I overdid it a bit, okay? So do you think my son and his wife want to take a parenting group? No, of course not. They don't. I never pushed it. He doesn't resist it simply because I pushed it. He resists it because he has a brilliance and he thinks he's discovered a brand new parenting philosophy, and it's called transparent parenting. And that's what he does.
Is that a real?
Yeah. And so that's okay. And I honor it. I don't judge his children or his parenting, because I love my son and I love my daughter-in-law, and they're really great and they're doing a really good job. So,
Is that sort of like when you are in the grocery store and you hear a mother talking to a 2-year-old at a adult level, trying to explain to them why they shouldn't throw a tantrum?
Yeah. It probably has some connection there. So maybe some concepts about child development could be studied at that time. But I guess the outcome is important, how are your children responding to it? And how much love is there? And what's the atmosphere of the home? And the atmosphere of the home is extremely loving. So it's okay. They even know that their grandma does parenting and does all this kind of stuff. And so when they were little and they came over to my house, I taught them how to be counselors. Right? So, but we do that and we nourish it. And for those parents who have boys, the boys come back because they really do love their mother. If their mother has been loving and wanted to be a mother, they will love their mother. Even if their mother's been difficult, she's still represented maybe a strong woman, because I do believe you need to represent yourself as a strong woman. They see that because they're going to pick a woman in their life that is a little bit like you. They might not think they're like you, but they are going to look for that strength. So you can trust that, one, you have given them a lot, but also that they're intelligent enough to have learned from the world that they've made some good decisions. And then they can look back on their life. And when you see them 30s and when you see them in their 40s, they really, I said to my youngest son the other day, my oldest son came over and we had a wonderful day. He was helping with the videos and he was so happy to help me. And I said to my youngest, and I didn't mean it in a bad way, I just said, it was like he wasn't my son. It was like a person. And he was just my friend. And he was working with me and we were laughing. And my youngest said, Mom, you said it was like he wasn't your son. I said, well, that parent angle wasn't there. Because the fact that you're a parent gets you in trouble. You haven't even done anything. And the fact that you're that kid's parent, they're 26 or they're 36 coming home and they're saying, you know what I learned the other day? My neighbor or my friend was saying blah, 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 blah. And you go, well, I said that to you, right? But they didn't hear it when you said it. They heard it when another person said it. And that's okay, because they need to go out to the world to learn these things. So if your first group of people, your family teaches you how you get along with people. And if that didn't work so good, welcome to the world, right? Because our adult children are going to meet someone just like their mother, just like their father, and just like their brother, or just like their sister. I believe we were meant to meet these people to learn how to work these things out. And I've often met my sisters in the world. I've often met someone who is so much like my mother. I just love them up, and I want to know them even more because they possess those qualities that I like, that I miss. So how do we get along with our children? By accepting them, by encouraging them, and by letting them be their own people. And I appreciate that once, and I'll tell you how that came back to me. My youngest son said to me when he was a teenager, although I didn't understand it, he'd bring all his friends over and he'd say, "Thanks, Mom, for just letting us be like we are with you." And I didn't get it. And I said, "I don't get that." And he said, "Well, we can't do that with everybody's parents." And actually that was a compliment. But now as a senior, this is what I say to my adult children. Thank you for letting me be vulnerable with you, for actually letting me share some of my fears about what's happening without thinking I'm dumping on you because I always protected you, but I'm just telling you what's weighing on me at the moment. And then they come forward and they say, "Yeah, Mom, I don't know why you didn't do that before." So we want to raise capable children, but we need to give them the responsibility to be able to participate in that, maybe by asking for help more. I know I'm very guilty for being independent. I am. And even though I have very high light bulbs that need changing and all kinds of things, I will still try to lift that kitty litter by myself and change that light bulb. And then I'll ask a woman who's really good at doing all these household things. And yet I can phone my son and I can tell you exactly what he's going to say. "Mom, you make a list. You make a nice long list. And then I'm going to come over and I'm going to do those things." Right? Because he doesn't just want me to phone him and say, "Can you change the light bulbs now?" He wants a list. Why? Because he has a life. He's busy. He's in love. He has 3 animals as children, right? And the other one has children and a busy life. So I have to respect those rules as well. So that's why I say they teach me a lot. Now let's hear about something about girls. What is it like raising women? Who has girls? You do. One girl.
I have a daughter as well. She's amazing. She is 29 years old now. She'll be 30 in January. So it's a big 3-0, and I'll be 60 in December. So there's a 30-year gap.
Wow.
Yeah, but
Do you notice the generation gap?
She helps to keep me young, and I think
Good.
that on her side, she gets what she needs to be to make the right decisions, like the older mindset that I pass on to her. We work very well together. Actually, I help her in her business. And when I need a different eye, a younger eye to look at my design work, then I give it to her, because I know she'll be honest as well. She's really honest. Like, she'll go, "No, those colors are not good together. In fact, this one is far too bright to go with this one, you know."
Oh, good.
Yeah, and so she's very honest. And that's why I get on with her, because I'm like that as well. But I don't have, anyone else to be like that with me. And so I'm very happy to be like that with me. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. And to think I thought just boys were up front, you know. I showed the video to my sons and they're so honest. My first video that I did, they went, "Mom, you're so quiet. Mom, where's that passion? Mom." And I go, "Well, it's new and I haven't done it before and I need some help." And they went, "Hey, okay." So, you know, between you and Sherry and, you know, this is wonderful. We really do need feedback back and forth and exchange and participation and engagement is really, really true. You know?
Absolutely. And I can tell you now that as I saw your videos, they actually did get better because I know you speaking on these shows, and I just love the way you get that message across and your personality in the way that you speak. And then when you did the video, the first video was a different person. And then when I saw the next one and the next one, I said, "Oh, there's Janice. Yes, that's her." And I used that one.
You're so sweet. And I appreciated that so much, you know, because it's when you speak, when I've gone out to speak to 200, 300, you have people you're looking at and they're blinking at you and smiling and that. But when you're making the video, you're just looking at this light and it's not doing anything for me, right?
Right.
So it was really great to have my son come because he's a performer. And I was a performer as a dancer, but not on camera, digital, right? So it is a learning thing. We're learning to do this, to be out there in the world. And I encourage all women to do this, we need to go into the unknown and do this because it's so cool to learn something new. So our children teach us a lot.
I think that's so true because that's what I actually appreciate so much about my adult children now is that before I felt the responsibility to know, have an opinion, share,
Yes.
but now I can be receptive and as my children are out in the world, the things they discover and they find out and they learn, well, it just enriches my life so much because it's like you've got three more of you out there searching for, you know, innovative ideas and new ideas. So that's what I appreciate about having adult children is they really open up your world.
Mm-hmm. And they're really nice people.
Yeah.
They're really lovely individuals. And just to see them, not as our children, but as individuals who make their own choices and they're very, very creative. Plus, they're really intelligent about all this new stuff that's happening. So they can teach us a lot.
Yeah. You know, I hope that, well, I'm sure he won't mind, but when my son was 19, he had this girlfriend that, you know, she was very close, like it was always folded arms, you know, not as open like our family is very huggable. We love hugging. So we're taking strain with the COVID because we're not allowed to, you know, hug each other. So so I said, you know, I made one mistake. I said, I don't see this girl in your future. I don't, and that was a big mistake because he totally retaliated. And he said, "Well, if I can't marry her, I'm not marrying anyone." He was only 19.
Aww.
Speak to me. And I said, okay, I knew I'd made that mistake, but I learned from it. And I left him. I left him to think about it. And like you said, you know, eventually they come back and they want to talk it through. But today, and so, you know, I have to add this bit, I was right. She was not the person that he needed in his life. And thank goodness, he is now 34 years old and he has found that person. He has found that person. And you said something earlier, Janice, that really connected with me, because you said that we find the person that is like, your mother or your sisters, and it's so funny. This girl looks like she's one of our family. That's very much like the whole look. She looks like my daughter almost, but she's loving and she hugs, and I know she's the right one for him.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. And I want to speak to your mistake. I think as parents, we make lots of mistakes. Sometimes, when the kids are little and we don't know about that consequences are not punishments, they're just what follows after a pencil falls off the table, right? Or rolls off the table. Consequences are events that happen because of certain decisions being made. But when they're little, we can say things like, okay, well, you shouldn't have done that. I'm never taking you to McDonald's again. That might be a good thing, but, we make a mistake. We need to say, I'm sorry I said that. I made a mistake. And give me a few minutes and I'll think about something else that makes more sense. And those kinds of statements help our children know that we're learning too. Even as an adult, when we are dealing with, let's say, our daughter's boyfriend or our son's girlfriend, we might make a mistake. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do with that? Well, we're human and we have to apologize, or we have to say, I'm sorry. Maybe I assumed, or I didn't mean to come across this way. And it's okay. You can make up for that. Remember, it takes time to develop you've had this long-term relationship with your children. So with their partners, you don't have a long-term relationship. You still have to practice learning how to get to know this person. Now, if that person happens to be delightful, like the one your son picked, she'll run into your arms. But what if she's slow to warm? Or I think that's what we call it. Is that the term, slow to warm? Yeah. What if she's slow to warm? What if she's just of a gentle nature and she just doesn't rush into your arms? And anybody who just has boys know we can't wait for those girls, right? That doesn't mean the girls are going to rush to us and want to hang out. And I was surprised that they didn't want to hang out with me. Who wouldn't want to hang out with me? I thought, what? Well, I'm not their mother. I haven't known them for a long time. So I have to see what they're interested in and slowly and surely get to know them and accept them as people. But it takes time. It really takes time.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Janice.
No, you, Sherry, go. I've talked forever.
Well, I just want to say the perspective about that is really good too, because, at least from my perspective, I always am hoping that my children find the love of their life and true happiness in a relationship. Yeah. And so everyone that comes, you're so anxious, to make a good impression, to be good friends with them right off the bat, so that you're actually supporting the growth of relationships. But what you say is true. You have to sort of let it happen on its own, and you're sort of just playing a supporting role instead of getting what you would want out of
exactly. Exactly, because it was obviously too selfish of me, wasn't it? It's like I wanted that. Even the cats were male, for crying out loud. There's too many males in our house, right? And it's beautiful. I love males. It's great. I love them. But you have to look at it that way too. We have to look at it that way.
I have
So,
to share this with you because we're coming close to the end. But
okay.
I wanted to share the story with you. My son was, I mean, you know, he was my firstborn. So obviously I just loved him. He was a naughty little boy and I just loved it, you know. And yeah, I didn't always show that I would laugh at the things that he did, but I had to be cross sometimes, you know. And as he grew up, then when he was 4, I had his sister. And he always, I think he started telling me from the age of 7, he started saying that you love my sister more than you love me. And it made me so sad. And it's, you know, I tried to explain to him that it's not, but he was too young, you know. And I thought maybe it's just a phase that he's going through. But as he got older, we had a discussion about it. And he was, I think he was 18, and he really did feel that I loved his sister more than I loved him. And I say to him, it's a different type of love. It's definitely not loving one more than the other. I might be a little bit more protective over her, but I'm just as much protective over you, you know. And it's such a difficult thing to explain, Janice. But and I would love your view on that before we end. But what I want to say afterwards is that he made me cry because he's when he was like 32 years old, he was looking through a photo album. And that day, the same day he was looking through it, he called me and he said, Mom, I have to tell you something. I've just discovered something and I needed to tell you right away because it was 6 hours difference in time. And I said, well, what is it? And he said, I realized that you did really love me. You really love me because I was looking at these pictures and I just saw the love in your face and in your eyes. And I realized I was wrong. You really love me. And I said, of course I loved you. I still always will love you. Yeah.
What a beautiful story. Isn't it beautiful that he phoned you and said that? It's so beautiful. Yeah. It's true, because as we give birth to each of our children, of course, they're extremely important. The firstborn will always be the firstborn. And do we love them? Of course we do. But the lastborn is always the lastborn, and we love them too. And I used to feel that pull, not for the love, but it's like, how do you show them? Because children always compare. These are stories all over the world. You'll have to have me back on to talk about birth order, because there are very many things in common. And the oldest has the most pictures, and the oldest has the newest clothes, and all of that is true. And boys handle it very differently than girls. Girls see well, you'll hear this from me later, the opportunities boys have. It's from a man's world, right? But also men live in this competitive world. Women do too. And so when you have boys, they do have this, you know, they would take me out for my birthday when they were teenagers to a pub so they could have a beer, right? And I would enjoy it too, but it was, you know, and they say things to, like, my oldest would say, Mom, you know, let's hear about how much you love me the most so my brother can hear it. And then my other son would say, tell my oldest son that I'm $25,000 ahead, right? And it's a joke, and they'd say it. And then how I would respond, because I was seeing it from my own angle, which was, I love you both so much. If you knew how much I loved you, if you really knew, you know, so I would go, okay, well, if you're going to play that game, then let's talk about who you love more, your father or me. And they would stop the game right away because they're so loyal.
Yeah.
Children want to be loyal and they want to be loved and they don't want to lose their parents. So those things are extremely important.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so
I
much.
think that, yes, I think that's a great place to end it. What wisdom, Janice, you're sharing with us. And truly, that's what it comes down to. We love our children and our children love their parents. And we want that to continue on through every phase of life. And, it's often said that the parent becomes the child later on in life. So
Yeah.
modeling all that behavior is so crucial to the success of a happy life, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Great. True.
Yeah. And just
So, go ahead, Anne.
Mary. So yes, thank you. I have posted my magazine link. If you are interested, Sherry is our cover girl, and it's the most beautiful cover this month. We released the magazine on the 15th of July, so take a look at it. Go onto the website and have a look at Sherry on the cover. And so I'll be sending everyone a copy of
Oh, good.
the magazine. Yes. Thanks,
And
Jane.
it was truly an honor. Thank you, Anne, for the ability to share some of my story and be the cover girl. I haven't been a cover girl to too many places.
Not yet.
And I wanted to share that Janice is a regular contributor to At 45 magazine, at45.com. She had contributed an article on this topic that we shared today, and it's in the magazine. You can find it there easily if you go to the front page. And we've also just launched a flippable version. We just did our third issue. So you can always find that on the homepage of our magazine. And if you're a subscriber, you're going to get it to your mailbox every Friday. So as we said, this is our last show for the season, but we are going to be back with a whole nother lineup of fabulous speakers and things, knowledge that you've asked us for, but also we're always looking for the feedback on our show. So if you've had some thoughts about season 1, please share it with us. You can send us an email at info@45.com, or you can go on any of our social channels and give us what you're thinking or what you'd like to see in the next season's issues. So Janice, has been marvelous.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I love all you guys. Wonderful.
We love you too. And Anne, I'm going to miss this every week.
I know it's become part of our life, but it won't be long and we'll be back on with season 2. I just want to thank all the speakers that have shared such valuable information with us, and I'm looking forward to our next series.
Absolutely. And we want to thank all the people. We've had some regulars who have been to every show that we've had, and I think we're at 30, Anne, or just over 30. So that's a lot of time to be checking in. But I also know that they've learned a lot from all these speakers that we've had and the discussions that we've had on the show. So we're going to sign off and say thank you so much for coming every Friday. We're looking forward to seeing you again soon. And remember, you are fabulous. Be fabulous.
Okay, bye.
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 Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.